Welcome to Quantumly Kinky with Dr. Veda, where we talk about sex, Eastern medicine, and character development for the multidimensional you. Episode 50, Seduction is Regulation. Why the most seductive people often do less. Welcome back to Quantumly Kinky, where modern sexuality meets ancient medicine, and every episode helps you to rewire your body for more pleasure, power, presence, and turn on. Before we talk about seduction today, slow down with me for a moment. Notice your breath, notice your jaw, notice your shoulders. Because seduction, it doesn't start with another person. It starts with your nervous system. And if your system is rushed, braced, or trying to perform, nothing that you do will land the way you want it to. So today, we're talking about seduction, and specifically why less is more. Why the most seductive people aren't necessarily doing more, they're just more regulated. So first, let's talk about how seduction is a state, a frequency, not a performance. Most people think seduction is about what they do, tone of voice, words, gestures, strategies. But performance lives in effort, and effort lives in the sympathetic nervous system. It's trying, it's pushing, it's proving. But the type of seduction that we're talking about today, it doesn't live there. It actually lives in regulation. Seduction lives in presence, groundedness, an ease in your body, like comfort with silence. You see, you don't seduce someone by impressing them. You seduce them by making their nervous system soften and lean forward. And this is why doing less usually works. Because when you do less, you create space. And space, it creates anticipation, and anticipation activates imagination. The nervous system fills gaps. Silence becomes erotic. Pauses become invitations. Restraint becomes power. Over-functioning kills desire. Over-texting, over-explaining, over-giving, over-performing, emotionally or erotically. Seduction, it happens before any contact, right in the pause before. And then there's this biology of restraint. This is not philosophy, it's physiology. Our dopamine spikes in anticipation, not fulfillment. And saturation, it collapses polarity. But mystery keeps desire alive. A nervous system that doesn't rush feels safe, feels confident, feels trustworthy. This is why someone can say very little and still feel really magnetic. It's because their body is not leaking energy. It's containing it. So speaking of, let's move into erotic containment, because this is a core concept in my work. Erotic containment is the ability to hold charge without needing to discharge it immediately. Erotic containment is the ability to feel desire without needing to act immediately. And erotic containment is the ability to stay present without collapsing into need. And this applies to conversation, dating, touch, long-term relationships, even clinical spaces. Seduction is not about teasing for attention. Seduction is restraint with intention. Let's take a deep breath together. Now let's talk about charge versus leakage. Charge feels like calm, focus, deliberate presence. And leakage feels like oversharing, nervous laughter, filling silence, seeking reassurance, and explaining yourself into fucking exhaustion. Leakage is not a character flaw. It's simply a nervous system strategy. And usually, it's a strategy for the nervous system that's mired in overstimulation. But seductive people, well, they trust that their presence lands, and they don't chase confirmation outside of themselves. But where people go wrong is they sometimes confuse access with connection or stimulation with seduction. Doing more often feels safer than doing less. But less requires regulation. And regulation is what's really seductive. In classical East Asian medicine, vitality is preserved through containment. Energy that leaks constantly doesn't regenerate. Overstimulation is inflammatory. Over-efforting dysregulates the nervous system. And seduction done well is restorative to all of that. It brings the system into this subtle arousal, but not overwhelm. And this is why in the Veda method, we don't just treat symptoms. We actually work with how your nervous system holds energy. Because at my turned on clinic, libido, desire, and your magnetism are actually diagnostic signals. And this is also why I offer my Eros recalibration sessions, which is my remote coaching work. These are one-on-one calls where we get to connect personally, wherever you are, and help your nervous system relearn how to hold erotic charge without this urgency or pressure. And these calls, they're not really about your performance or spicing things up, but they're about regulation, containment, and restoring your capacity to feel your desires without forcing them. It's letting your body remember what safety and sexiness feel like at the same time. When your system remembers how to hold energy, seduction becomes effortless again. And honestly, I love these calls. I love the opportunity to meet people from this podcast, people listening from all over, and to work together in a way that's intimate, focused, and deeply supportive, even at a distance. These sessions let us take what you're hearing here and actually bring it into your personal lived experience. And now, here's your embodied practice for the week. This week, you're going to practice restraint. Pause one breath longer than feels comfortable before you respond. End one interaction before it fully resolves. Say less than you normally would. And do not rush to soothe the silence. And don't explain yourself too quickly this week. You don't have to close every energetic loop. Let the tension exist. Let some moments remain slightly unfinished. And notice what rises in your body when you don't hurry to complete the exchange. The urge to fix, to fill, to prove, to secure connection. And instead, just stay where you are. Teach your nervous system something new. Connection doesn't disappear when you slow down. Desire does not die in the pause. And safety can exist inside the unknown. So this week, let the charge linger. Because power and attraction live in what is not always immediately resolved. And as AI continues to emerge and rapid speed becomes a norm for some people, our superpower is our embodied presence. The human ability to feel, to pause, and to choose rather than react. So as we close today, remember this. Seduction is not created through effort. It's created through presence. The nervous system that feels safe doesn't chase, it attracts. So if you want to feel more magnetic in your life, start by regulating. Slow down enough to actually inhabit yourself. Let silence do some of the work for you. Because desire isn't something that you force into existence. It's something that appears when there's space to receive it. And the moment that you stop trying so hard to be compelling, people begin to feel you. Because real seduction isn't performance, it's capacity. The capacity to hold energy, to stay present, and to allow anticipation room to breathe. So this week, a little less striving, hold more sensation, go slower, and let your system remember what it already knows. And when you're ready, my website is now live. You know where to find me. turnedonclinic.com. Thanks for listening to today's episode of Quantumly Kinky with Dr. Veda. Until next time, stay turned on.